Uh, Before we wrap, well, I want to do a quick update on the Assange hearings. I
Yeah,
believe it
yeah.
was Monday where it seemed like technical failures. With the it was actually supposed to restart on Monday after a brief couple days off because of a potential COVID. The test came back negative, but then Monday is supposed to restart. Technical errors, I guess, prevent them from really accomplishing any business. I was kind of following Joe Loria's Twitter feed that day, and it was like, oh, they're going offline for a little bit, and then he said that the judge popped back on for a couple minutes, said that's it for the day, and that was it.
Done.
And then Tuesday, there's another great write up by Craig Murray, who his the column he's doing for Consortium News on this is titled "Your Man in the Gallery," and he's one of the few people who actually get to get in and watch what's happening at the trial unfold. So he has it's I would call a loose transcript of kind of what happened, and he inserts some of his own thoughts in, and especially debunking some of the lies told about Assange within it. But it's pretty good. The particular thing that happened on Tuesday was the expert witness for Assange, the defense, was Eric Lewis, who has some kind of expert on kind of prisons in the U.S. and then the injustice done to people in prisons, and it seemed like Eric Lewis had like a lot of very interesting things to say, and I think it's important for the UK court system because some of the American prison systems are horrendous, and I think the Europe there's no death penalty in Europe. Like that's a part of being in the European Union. That was like a sticking point. Like after the 2016 coup in Turkey, Erdogan floated the idea of executing some people, and the EU said, well then, you won't be able to get membership. So that kind of stuff like is important. And then when the prosecutor John Lewis cross-examined Eric John Lewis, I think that's his name.
Yeah, yeah. They're both Lewis. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, cross-examined Eric Lewis. I found it to be pretty tedious in that most of his cross-examination was just trying to make excuses for people to ignore his testimony. So he would do things like ask, "What kind of detentions do you have in the U.S.?" And like Eric Lewis would answer, like, "Well, there's three general categories, which is like solitary confinement, high security, and regular, or something like that." And then John Lewis says no, and then list off 100 things. And it's like me asking Will, can you name the colors? And Will says yellow, red, and blue. And I say no, that's wrong. There's magenta and pink and
Right. Cyan and all this stuff.
right, just turquoise, and go on and see like, look, you can't be an artist, like you don't know every single color in the Crayola 64 color bots.
That
It
is what
was
he's doing. That's exactly what
right.
this guy's doing.
Right, and it seemed to me like it was just like stuff like that over and over again. I gotta say, like, I really appreciate Craig Murray's write ups, but that article was just long and boring to read because
Right.
it's like the most trivial things that he's asking him about, rather than maybe saying like, hey, maybe the conditions are bad, but this guy is really terrible and needs to be in prison. And let's face it, that it's not like high security U.S. prisoners drop dead every day from inhumane treatment. And I'm sure there was some kind of like minimizing argument the guy can make that was at least somewhat based in reality, but this was just kind of like a crazy waste of time in one of the most important trials to ever happen. And so it's I guess if I could describe the Assange trial as anything so far for me, it's just frustrating. It's hard to get any really good information of what's happening on there because the only coverage you get is from alternative media sources like Craig Murray, and he does excellent write-ups. But at the same time, I would like to see some video of what's going
Yeah.
on in there, or at the at very least see more reports from more different sources. Maybe Murray misremembers something. He's like I said, it's like a loose transcript. It'd be great if people were writing up full transcripts and stuff like that. And also, like, Craig Murray is a friend of Julian Assange. He has a bias. Not that that makes me discount exactly what he's saying here. I think he's an honest person and everything, and would write up his story honestly. But for other people, it's hard maybe for them to read it and accept it because he does make it obvious that he has a personal preference that Assange be found not guilty of this. So Well, did you catch anything in the Tuesday's Assange hearing that I missed, or is that pretty much it?
No, I think you pretty much summarized. There's nothing that I had seen that worth noting on Tuesday that you hadn't already mentioned. There was something on Monday I found kind of interesting, just like the reason why they postponed the whole thing. There was apparently like a American news report started playing through like the court sound system while this Eric Lewis guy was testifying. And like, I don't. Did you ever find out what the deal was there? Someone had raised the possibility that they had been hacked or something, or that it was maybe just a glitch on the witnesses' side. Did you ever figure out what happened with that?
No, I actually didn't get like a full detailed report of it. I just was kind of following along on Twitter that day, and they like kind of just reported a tech error, and then reported it wasn't coming back. So I didn't know that was exactly the thing. So it's like a Zoom call where somebody forgot to mute themselves, or
So it sounds, yeah, exactly.
man.
But the last thing I'll say here is that like you mentioned just how like yeah it'd be great to get some video here, and isn't it odd how like there can be a random shooting in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and we have 27 angles of it within 30 minutes the night that it happens, but here we have the most important legal case going on in like decades, and we know where it is, we know where we know who's taking part in it, but we can't get a damn video feed of it. Like I find that to be outrageous.
Right. Well, assuming that we continue to have the trial proceed and COVID and these technical issues stop getting in the way, let's continue to cover this in the weeks ahead. I think we should be expecting testimony from Daniel Ellsberg and Patrick Coburn relatively soon. So,
Yeah.
those are some big names, and that'll be exciting. And hopefully, then Scott could have them on and interview those guys too, just to chat with them about what they end up saying. Because
Yeah.
one of the things is the witnesses are very limited in what they're able to say. I think they can only give like a 30-minute testimony to the defense, like to the side that they're testifying on, before they're then cut off. And then the prosecution jumps in and is like, why didn't you talk about all this stuff that you have in your report? It's like, well, I had a half
Right.
hour. Like, what do you want me to say?
Yeah.
But so we're probably not gonna like hear everything that Patrick Coburn and Daniel Ellsberg had to say on it at the trial. But hopefully Scott could get them on the show and let them talk about the things they can't say. And man, it's I guess kind of unfortunate because I don't think it's going to change anything, but it is kind of exciting to have Daniel Ellsberg set to testify here, and hopefully he can make some at least powerful statements, and maybe especially like Patrick Coburn, I think is a somewhat important and famous person in the UK, a little bit better known than in the US. So maybe like his testimony there will like get some more coverage, and people will be like, oh yeah, this Assange thing is a little bit important.
Right, right. Yeah, I was hoping the same thing, that maybe Coburn would bring some prestige to that, being like a well-known columnist and writer, journalist.
All right, well, that's where we should probably wrap it for today. But everybody, make sure you're following Will on Twitter at the Will Porter. He posts the stuff he writes at RT, usually early in the morning. So if you follow him and check out his account when you wake up, you'll see what he wrote the night before. Lots of interesting stuff, like the Venezuela article we followed today. You follow me on Twitter at Kyle Anzalone _. You can follow